Seymour Pierce, Columbus, Ohio. Whatever happened to the headbutt to the crotch area? My dad used to pop every time they would do it. You would see the spots all the time back in the 70s and the early 80s. Never see that spot anymore.
The headshot to the groin area.
Yeah, the groinal.
Well, I don't remember that spot. I remember this when you caught him in the nuts, but how did you catch him with your head in the groin, in the corner?
Do you know, a couple of different ones I've seen is, let's say, you knock one person, the aggressor knocks one person out, they lie on the floor, but they're woozy, and then they fall face flat, headbutting them into the ball sack. I mean,
oh yeah,
that's
that
been
went.
going for ages.
I don't know. That went the way of the wild, I guess. I don't know what happened to that, but a lot of people consider that a Carny spot, so they wouldn't do it because they didn't want to be called Carny. But I like the spot really.
Carny
See,
spot.
Dick Murdoch could do that. Killer Carl Cox could do that because it matched their style. And I've seen it done a lot of times, but it just disappeared.
Can you give me any more examples of a Carny spot that they just don't do anymore? Because in fairness, I've never heard that term before. A Carny spot.
A Carny spot.
I've never heard that term before.
They used to run the ropes and they go back and forth and back and forth, and all of a sudden the guy would get in the middle, stop. The guy would, what is him up there? And the guy would look, and he'd hit him. No, it's a Carny spot. So, and it was pretty good. It was a Bill Dundee spot. So then the Rock and Roll Express used to do one with the Midnight Express. I couldn't even explain what they did, but one guy would shoot him in and he'd drop down, and I can find it and I'll send it to you. So
yeah,
and it's where the two heels, they end up running together somehow. I even forgot the spot.
Do you know one thing I've not seen in ages, or maybe I've just not been looking hard enough, is, they do the crisscross of the ropes. One's running one way,
yeah,
the other's running the other way, and I can't do it with my fingers. But then one of them would just hook the ropes and stop themselves, and then the other guy would just bounce back and forth until they realized.
That's the Bobby Fulton special. He would do that. Then the guy would be running, and he'd look over to the guy, and then he'd be running out of steam, at that time, and he'd get slower and slower, and then he'd stop and look at the guy like, "What are you doing?" And then the guy would come up and pop him because he was blowed up.
Another one I've used to like back in the day was like a foot stomp. Just stomp on the toes.
Oh, you're too much.
Come on, I like that.
Oh, stomp the toe. Oh. And then the other, stomp the other foot. I've seen it. Dick Murdoch spots. He loved that stuff. If you wanted a school of all these Carny spots, find you a tape of Dick Murdoch when he wasn't in an angle. He was he was entertaining even as a heel. And the people liked him as a heel. And I learned a lot just by being around the guy. Funny as hell. And he's no longer with us. But if he was with us, I would love to have done an interview with him. What a wealth of information he had. He had it back in the day because him and Dusty Rhodes started about the same time. And I think they both played football at West Texas State.
Right. Okay. So that's a misnomer. Apparently, Dick Murdoch never did, but
yeah,
he
that's
just,
right.
he convinced, when there was an alumni game, he just lied and said he did, and then he believed him.
Oh yeah. That's classic Dick Murdoch. Dusty did play, didn't he?
Yeah.
West Texas. You know who else played there?
Got like a million of them: Tito Santana, Ted DiBiase,
Yep.
Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen.
Tully Blanchard.
Tully Blanchard. I'm forgetting quite a few.
But West Texas State probably West Texas State has the record for the number of people they put into the pro wrestling ranks.
The Funks, were they?
The Funks were there, yes. And a lot of guys went back there because they were familiar with the town, Amarillo. They were familiar with the town and they knew the Funks. And that's a territory I wish I'd always been able to go to. I missed Amarillo and I heard so much about it because Terry would have made it worthwhile just going and being around him. But to go to some of these territories, if you had a family, that's different. If you were by yourself, it's party time. You could party all the time and just make the shots.
I'm just looking at a list here. We didn't mention Bobby Duncombe Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Kelly Kaniski.
He played there. He's from Canada.
So. Kelly. Yeah, Kelly Kaniski, not Gene. So son of.
No, but Kelly was his son, right?
Yeah, maybe he must have moved down. Ted Manny Fernandez, we didn't mention.
Yeah.
And I think we got the rest.
That's a crazy bastard, too.
So we need to do a whole thing on Manny at one point. Do you know there's one thing about Dick Murdoch I'd like to ask you about? WWF 1995. So Royal Rumble 95, January. You debut with the company around that time, January 95. And so does he doesn't debut, but he reintroduces himself. And he's part of the Royal Rumble match as Dick Murdoch. And he doesn't really appear on television, I'm not even sure at all after that. But he's hired for like 6 months by the WWF, apparently just because he was just so much fun to be around and he was good for the locker room. What do you remember of Dick Murdoch in the WWF days, in the mid-90s WWF days, where he was just paid to turn up and drink?
I asked him one time, I said, what are you doing here? He said, I don't know. They called me or something, wanted me to come in. I just show up. And when I get, he said, I'll do anything. I show up. They don't have anything for me. He said, that's not me. That's them. But they should have put Dick in something because Dick just wearing a coat to the ring, he can make an angle out of a coat. He can make an angle out of anything because he was so full of bullshit. He was entertaining as hell. He really was. Now, I was in Puerto Rico when he was the booker, and I forgot there was this really big guy, about 7-foot guy, and he told the guy to do something in the match that he didn't do. So later on in the night, we were going to have a big, everybody run in, a heel run in, then a babyface would run in, heel run in, babyface run in. Well, he ran in one night, and then Dick was following him, and I didn't know it at the time, but Dick was mad at him. Dick beat the living shit out of that guy. And I talked to Dick the next day. I said, what was that deal with you? And I forgot the guy's name now. He said, I told the son of a bitch to do something. He didn't do it. So, hey, welcome to the pro wrestling business. And he just beat his ass up. Dick was tough. He really was. I was in West Palm. I was in West Palm. Oh, yeah. He had what he called a 6-inch punch. I believed it too. West Palm Beach one night, and I've told you this before, he came back from the ring, and him and why I compare him to Killer Carl Cox, they both had the same punch. They put it here, and they wouldn't wind back and throw it. They just throw it from here. I call it like the 6-inch punch. They knock people out. Dick was legitimately tough. Killer Carl Cox was legitimately tough. So, and good guys.
I'm going to do a game with you. So WWF, Dick Murdoch, he was there for about 6 months estimated. Have a guess how many matches he had in 1995 for the company?
6.
1. Royal Rumble, and that was it.
And he just showed up?
He showed up for 6 months and got paid. And then apparently he got a job with the Coors Brewer people just to make appearances and drink.
That was what he was qualified to do.
Yeah. I'll get
So,
overqualified, I'm sure.
hey, if I was
Traveling
an
and drinking.
advertiser, I would hire Dick because Dick was great with people, great with people. Like if you met Dick, it's like you've known him all your life. He'd pat you on the back and give you a big hug and let's have a beer and boom, bust it and start. You liked him automatically. He was a natural born salesman. So, and what did Dick die of? I was
Uh,
really sad that day when I heard that he'd passed away.
Bear with me
But
1 minute while I Google it. I mean, did he drown in a vat of beer? Let's have a look. He died the next year in 1996. Goodness, I didn't realize it was that close.
what did he die of? Heart
He died
attack?
of heart attack, age 49.
Yeah.
So there you go. Having taken part in a rodeo earlier that day.
Yeah.